After the Sabbath, the women went to the tomb. This is how the gospel of this holy vigil began, with the Sabbath. It is the day of the Easter Triduum that we tend to neglect. As we eagerly await the passage from Friday's cross to Easter Sunday's Alleluia. This year, however, we are experiencing more than ever the great silence of Holy Saturday. We can imagine ourselves in the position of the women on that day. They, like us, had before their eyes the drama of suffering, of an unexpected tragedy that happened all too suddenly. They had seen death, and it weighed on their hearts. Pain was mixed with fear. Would they suffer the same fate as the Master? Then, too, there was fear about the future and all that would need to be rebuilt. A painful memory, a hope cut short. For them, as for us, it was the darkest hour. Yet in this situation, the women did not allow themselves to be paralyzed. They did not give in to the gloom of sorrow and regret. They did not morosely close in on themselves or flee from reality. That Saturday, they were doing something simple, yet extraordinary, preparing at home the spices to anoint the body of Jesus. They did not stop loving. In the darkness of their hearts, they lit a flame of mercy. Our Lady spent that Saturday, the day that would be dedicated to her, in prayer and hope. She responded to sorrow with trust in the Lord. Unbeknownst to these women, they were making preparations in the darkness of that Sabbath for the dawn of the first day of the week, the day that would change history. Jesus, like a seed buried in the ground, was about to make new life blossom in the world. And these women, by prayer and love, were helping to make that hope flower. How many people in these sad days have done and are still doing what those women did, sowing seeds of hope with small gestures of care, affection, and prayer. At dawn, the women went to the tomb. There, the angel says to them, "Do not be afraid. He is not here, for he has risen." They hear the words of life even as they stand before a tomb. And then they meet Jesus, the giver of all hope, who confirms the message and says, "Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid. Do not yield to fear." This is the message of hope. It is addressed to us today. These are the words that God repeats to us this very night. Tonight we acquire a fundamental right that can never be taken away from us, the right to hope. It is a new and living hope that comes from God. It is not mere optimism. It's not a pat on the back or an empty word of encouragement. It is a gift from heaven which we could not have earned on our own. Over these weeks, we've kept repeating, "All will be well," clinging to the beauty of our humanity and allowing words of encouragement to rise from our hearts. But as the days go by and fears grow, even the boldest hope can dissipate. Jesus' hope is different. He plants in our hearts the conviction that God is able to make everything work unto good, because even from the grave he
La
brings
tomba è il
life.
luogo dove chi entra non esce.
The grave is the place where no one who
Ma Gesù
enters
è
ever
uscito per
leaves.
noi, è risorto per noi, per portare vita dove c'era morte.
But Jesus
Per avere una
emerged for
storia
us.
nuova
He
dove era
rose for
stata
us
messa
to
una
bring
pietra
life
sopra.
where there was death,
Lui
to
che ha
begin a new
sbarcato
story in the very place where a stone had been
può
placed.
rimuovere I
He
macigni
who rolled
che
away the
sigillano
stone that
il cuore.
sealed the entrance of the tomb
Non ci
can
diamo
also remove the stones
Non mettiamo una
in front of
pietra
our hearts.
sopra la speranza.
So let us not give in to
Possiamo
resignation.
e dobbiamo
Let us
sperare
not place a stone
che Dio
before
è
hope.
fedele.
We can and must
Non
hope
ci ha
because
lasciati,
God
non ci ha lasciati
is
soli.
faithful. He did not
Ci ha
abandon us.
visitati.
He visited
È
us
venuto in ogni nostra situazione.
and entered into
Nel
our
dolore, nell'angoscia,
all of our
nell'amore.
situations of pain
La sua luce
anguish,
ha illuminato l'oscurità
and
del
death.
sepolcro. Oggi vuole
His light
raggiungere
dispelled
gli
the
angoli
darkness
più bui
of the
della
tomb.
vita.
Today, He wants that light to penetrate even to the darkest corners
Anche
of
se
our
nel cuore
lives.
hai seppellito la speranza,
Dear sister, dear
non
brother,
arrenderti.
even if in your heart you have buried hope,
Il
do
buio
not
e la
give up.
morte non hanno
God
l'ultima
is
parola.
greater.
Coraggio, con Dio,
Darkness and death
niente
do
è
not
impossibile.
have the last word. Be strong, for with God nothing is lost.
È una parola che nei Vangeli esce sempre dalla bocca di Gesù.
Courage. This is a
Una
word
sola volta.
often spoken
La
by
pronunciano
Jesus
altri,
in the
la pronunciano
Gospels.
altri. Per dire a un bisognoso, coraggio, alza.
Only once do others say it.
Gesù ti chiama.
To encourage a person in need,
È il
courage,
risorto
rise.
che rialza
Jesus is calling you.
bisognosi.
It is He, the risen one,
Se sei debole
who
e
raises us
fragile
up
nel cammino,
from our neediness.
se cadi, non
If
temere.
on your journey you
Dio ti
feel
tende
weak
la
and
mano e
frail
ti
or
dice,
fall,
coraggio.
do not be afraid.
Ma tu potresti
God
dire,
holds out a
come
helping
Don
hand and
Abbondio,
says to you,
il coraggio uno non
courage.
se lo può dare.
You might say, as did Don Abbondio in Manzoni's
Ma lo
novel,
puoi ricevere.
courage is not something you can give
Come un
yourself. True, you
Basta
cannot
aprire
give
il
it to
cuore nella
yourself,
preghiera.
but you can receive it
Basta
as a gift.
sollevare un poco quella
All you
pietra
have to do is open your heart in prayer
dall'imboccatura del cuore
and roll away,
per
however
lasciare
slightly,
entrare
that
la luce
stone
di
placed
Gesù.
at the entrance of your heart,
Basta
so
invitarlo.
that Jesus' light can
Vieni,
enter.
Gesù, nelle mie paure.
You only need to
Affianca
ask
me,
Him, Jesus,
coraggio.
come to me amid my
Con te,
fears
Signore,
and
saremo
tell me
provati, ma
too,
non turbati.
courage.
E qualunque tristezza
With
abiti in
you,
noi,
Lord,
sentiremo di
we will be
poter di dover
tested, but
sperare,
not shaken.
perché con te la croce
And whatever sadness may dwell in us, we will be strengthened in
tu
hope,
sei con noi,
since with you the cross leads to the resurrection, because you are with us in the darkness of our nights. You are certainty amid our uncertainties, the word that speaks in our silence, and nothing can ever rob us of the love you have for us.
Ecco l'annuncio pasquale,
This is the Easter
annuncio di
message,
speranza.
a message of
Esso
hope.
contiene una seconda parte.
It contains a second part, the sending forth.
Andate ad annunciare ai miei fratelli che vadano
Go.
in Galilea.
And tell my brethren to go to Galilee, Jesus says.
Precede in Galilea,
He is going before you
dice
to
l'angelo.
Galilee, the angel says.
Il Signore ci precede.
The
ci
Lord
precede
goes
sempre.
before us.
È bello sapere che cammina davanti
He goes
a noi.
before us always.
Che ha visitato
It is
la nostra
encouraging to
vita,
know
la
that He
nostra
walks
morte,
ahead of us
per
in life
precederci in
and in
Galilea,
death.
nel luogo,
He goes
cioè,
before us to
che per
Galilee,
lui
that is, to the
e per i
place
suoi
which, for
discepoli,
Him and His
chiamava la vita
disciples,
quotidiana,
evoked the
la
idea
famiglia,
of daily
il
life,
lavoro.
family, and work.
Gesù desidera che portiamo la speranza lì, nella vita di
Jesus
ogni
wants
giorno.
us to bring hope there, to our everyday
La
life.
Galilea per i discepoli era pure il luogo dei ricordi,
For the disciples, Galilee was also the
soprattutto della
place
prima chiamata.
of remembrance, for it was the place where they were
Tornare
first
in
called.
Galilea e ricordarsi
Returning to Galilee
di essere
means
stati amati
remembering
e
that we
chiamati
have
da
been
Dio.
loved and called by God.
Ognuno di noi ha la propria Galilea.
Each one of us has our own
Abbiamo bisogno
Galilee.
di riprendere il cammino
We need to resume the journey, reminding ourselves that we are born and reborn thanks to an invitation given gratuitously to us out of love. This is always the point from which we can set out anew, always in times of crisis and trial, in the memory of my own Galilee. But there is more. Galilee was the farthest region from where they were, from Jerusalem, and not only geographically. Galilee was also the farthest place from the sacredness of the holy city. It was an area.
Gesù invia lì, chiede di ripartire da lì.
It was an area where people of different religions lived. It was the Galilee of the Gentiles. Jesus sends them there and asks them to start again from there. What does this tell us? That the message of hope should not be confined to our sacred places, but should be brought to everyone. For everyone is in need of reassurance, and if we, who have touched the word of life, do not give it, who will? How beautiful it is to be Christians who offer consolation, who bear the burdens of others, and to offer encouragement, messengers of life in a time of death. In every Galilee, in every area of the human life to which we all belong, and which is part of us, for we are all brothers and sisters, may we bring the song of life. Let us silence the cries of death. No more wars. May we stop the production and trade of weapons, since we need bread, not guns. Let the abortion and killing of innocent lives end. May the hearts of those who have enough be open to filling the empty hands of those who do not have the bare necessities. Those women in the end took hold of Jesus' feet that had traveled so far to meet us, to the point of entering and emerging from the tomb. The women embraced the feet that had trampled death and opened the way of hope. Today, as pilgrims in search of hope, we cling to you, Jesus, risen. We turn our backs on death and open our hearts to you, for you are life itself.